Good morning, everybody, and God bless you. Pray that you having a blessed morning. I've been running as usual. You all know who I am by now. My middle name is Runner, Angela Runner. Okay, always busy. That comes from Uncle Jesse at Holy Cross. He told me one time. He said, "Angela, you need to get stuff done while you can, because when you get older, them steps gonna get shorter." Well, that thing sunk in my spirit, but that thing need to slow down just a little bit. So listen, I'm Angela Gibson. For those of you who don't know me, you may be joining this page for the first time. I'm on Miss Ellie's Girl. That is my writer's name. I also am on WEW Women Encouraging Women. I'm on Beyond the Walls Outreach Ministries and on my personal page. So I don't know where you're joining from, but do me a favor and put your name in the comment section so we know that you are here. It's going to be a blessed conversation this morning. I don't know if you caught last week, I was with Rebecca Ramayan, amen, reviewing her book. And I'm telling you, I cannot wait for it to be released. It will be here, it will be out this year. Listen, we're pushing her. Come on, release it so we can finish and read the whole thing. It was amazing last week, and I have a treat for you this week. All right, I hope y'all are ready. I have author, editor Trisha Williams. If you've been in Trenton for any period of time, you've seen her, you've heard of her. She's at local events. She's at book signings. She's doing her own thing in the editing world. She's everywhere, y'all. Listen, lots of books. I was on her website earlier, and I can't even count. Like, there's just a lot of writings that she's done. And one of the things that I did see on her site is that, no, I think I heard it in an interview where a lot of the books that she's written were completed during the pandemic. I think 17 or 18, if I'm not mistaken. She's an educator. She's a early childhood educator. She's got a lot of knowledge, you all, a lot of knowledge about the city of Trenton. So if you ever live in Trenton, ever walk past Trenton, been at any of the bookshops, any of the coffee shops, any of the local events, you have heard her name, Trisha Williams. Now, before I bring her in, listen, I want you to follow my page, my website, subscribe to my website, misselliesgirl.com, because you'll see that I have a new children's book coming out. I'm so excited. I don't know what to do. It's called The Frog That Couldn't Leap. And it's based on the fact that we all have a weakness, but we also have a strength. Our focus should be on strengthening our weakness. Come on, strengthening our weakness, right? And then making sure that you turn that thing around, because all things are possible with God. Listen, if you ever went to my book, The Colors of God, you would see that every child has a handicap, right? If not a handicap, something society would call a flaw, right? A freckle. You guys know kids they will tease you to death if you have acne, a freckle, right? Some of the children in my book, they actually have prosthetic, I can't say it, prosthetic legs. I know I said it wrong. I have a child who's jumping, doing up to the basketball hoop. Look at his leg, right? I have things in that book that society calls ugly, that children pick on. But to God, right, it's all beautiful. God created us in his own image. And so that book was written to help children understand that we all are different, but we all are loved by God. So I don't want to prolong the time. I see you, Chanel. I see you on. I love you and I love what you're doing. I'm praying for you every day. I know that you're facing some difficult times right now, but I need you to understand that God's going to take you through it. So thanks for joining this morning. Are y'all ready? Are you ready? Share the link. Share the link. I realize some people are going to get the playback. You know, if your algorithms ain't up, folks get it after you on here almost an hour. We got to work on that. Y'all ready? Let's bring her in. I don't have all that stuff. So Miss Trisha Williams. Yee! Good
It's
morning. Good
to
morning.
be here with you this morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. So glad you're joining me this
I
morning.
I have to tell you something.
Yes.
My name is Trisha Ellie Williams.
Stop it. Stop it. That's not divine.
Yes, ordained.
Wow.
Yep, that
That's a
is my
divine
Christian name.
connection.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
isn't
beautiful.
that something? Trisha
That,
Ellie. Yep,
that's beautiful. We used to call my mom Miss Ellie's girl. I'm sorry. We used to call my mom Miss Ellie.
right.
And so that's why I call myself Miss Ellie's girl. Wow, that's amazing to me.
I love it. I love it. That's
Divine
how
connection.
divine connection.
Yeah, divine. All right, let's go into it. Who is
Okay.
Trish Williams? Who is Trisha Williams? Who are you?
Trisha Williams first is uh fearing of God. I'm a Christian. I am a Christian, which means I'm not perfect, but I aim to not live in my flesh. And I'm an author and everything else because I'm his child. So he's given all of us gifts, just like you said. He's given all of us gifts. Our goal is to focus on our gifts and how to give it back to God to glorify him rather than focus on our handicaps.
Hmm.
So everything else I am is because of him. Um, he certainly orders our steps, Angela, and I know that what I'm doing now is an assignment from him that did come simply like before the pandemic, and then he just, whatever you do, he's with you to do it, to enlarge your territory, to
Mm,
glorify him. So whatever gift you have is of him and for him, and we're made in his image to glorify him, such as a flower or a tree is. So
hmm.
when we bend and we move and we sway in the wind, that's our Father, and that's how we celebrate life.
Yeah, your gifts will make room for you and bring you before great men.
I agree.
So just like the tree that's swaying, right?
Just like a tree that's swaying. Yep.
When we
That's
sway,
another
when we
way to
use
phrase
our gift, yeah, we're displayed before the world as people who've been created in His image. And you are so right about that.
it.
You are
Hallelujah.
so right about that. So, all right. How did you get started with writing? Right, that's what we're here to talk about. How did you get started with writing?
Well, Angela, I have been writing all of my life. Early, real early. I'm an early reader. I read, my mother says, when I was in Pampers, I would go around the home and read things like Frigidaire and Hi-Fi and, things on the refrigerator. And they noticed this in me very early, that she's actually forming the words um, from watching Sesame Street. And eventually they took me to an audition at Sesame Street, and I was on Sesame Street for 3 weeks.
Stop it! Stop it!
Well, the letter Z, The
No,
number 12 with
stop.
with a skit for with Grover. And
Sesame Street?
yeah, and
Y'all, we
then
gotta look that up.
yeah, I'm still trying to find it myself because I wasn't there for a long time. Um, Evidently, I complained about how hot the lights were. And on TV, Grover's like, not so big, but I did a skit with Grover and he's huge in person. So I asked my dad to take me home and I never went back. The lights were too hot. I probably would have been famous. But later on in my high school years, my mentor, my teacher, my English teacher, Mrs. Rooks. Miss Rooks took such an interest in me because I gravitated toward not just the written word and poetry, but Shakespeare, and I understood immediately that this has to be a gift. And so I've been writing all my life, but published and doing plays. I'm a playwright too. I produced the play, wrote the play Flawless, which was about a runaway. Later on, converting it to a book, so that because everybody didn't get to come to the play. So I wanted everybody to have access to Flawless, which is my 5th book. But I've been published since 2015. So self-published, I should say. I've been self-published since 2015, and from there through the pandemic, it just took off. So I have 17 books now.
17 books total. How many were written during the pandemic?
12. Mhm.
Yeah, the pandemic, it was a horrible thing because so many families were torn apart. So much
Yeah,
loss, divorce. Like if you look at the statistics, it was a lot going on. It's not just death. There was people still are living with the side effects like health conditions that are long term. But when
yeah,
we look at another side of it, some good things came out of that. Some relationships are stronger.
this is
All right.
true.
You had an opportunity really to sit still, something we don't do during the
Yeah,
pandemic. And look, 17 books, 12 of them written while you were sitting still. So there was
exactly.
something about that stillness that was very important for our lives.
I agree. I agree. And if you listen to the messages, God will tell you when to be still.
Mm,
So this actually forced everyone, nobody was excluded, to be still and let his work. And another good thing that came out of the pandemic is we started recognizing these gifts that were, we started recognizing that maybe it's time I wrote that book, or maybe it's time to focus on my poetry, or maybe it's time for some self-enhancement in some way. So I think that although the pandemic showed us who we really were, and we did suffer loss and grievance, some good did come out of it.
yeah,
It's undeniable. So
yeah.
me personally, I had brain surgery 2017, shortly before the pandemic.
Hmm.
A lot of people don't know, but I'm a domestic violence survivor, and I was left for dead, and it affected 85% nerve damage. So I lost my ability to walk. I lost my mobility. So I spent a lot of time in a power chair, which is when I started writing because I had to retire from this New Jersey. Yeah.
Mm,
So when I was forced to be retired, um, doctors were trying to the nerve damage that I suffer from. It left me with symptoms. This was way back in 1997, but it didn't affect me until 2009 when I actually got the diagnosis of peripheral neuropathy. And I had never heard of it. I heard of neuropathy in conjunction with diabetes, but I'm not diabetic.
mhm.
So they were trying to figure out trauma happened to me. And when I told them, they said, that's it. It was a domestic violence incident. But we don't cry over spilt milk. God has saved me for a purpose, and clearly this is the purpose. I had gotten off the path of writing, and God brought it back full circle, 180 degrees, to let me know that this is where my gift lies and this is how to glorify Him. So in 2017, they said to relieve some of the symptoms I was having and restore my mobility, I needed to have this decompression surgery. So they, one of the things I suffer from is trigeminal neuralgia. They literally call it, Angela, the suicide disease. And if you Google suicide disease, trigeminal neuralgia will pop up. It affects 5% women. It's a very rare thing. So what it is, something's pressing because I was pulled down a flight of steps. It's something in here is pressing on my trigeminal nerve, which caused me my hands to tremble and my eyes to blink constantly. I couldn't like focus on your eyes. If we were speaking face to face, I would blink, and I had a stammer. So, my husband was like, I'm not sure about no brain surgery. That's invasion of your head, your brain. It might affect other things, your memory, And I prayed about it, and God said, girl, do that thing. So I got the brain surgery 2017, and I had at that point, I think 4 books. And then after the recovery period, I as soon as I woke up, I felt like writing. I felt like writing. So the blinking stopped, the stuttering stopped. I could look you eye to eye. It was for my good. You know what I mean? It was for my good. So I'm glad I listened. You know, we have to be obedient to what the Lord tells us to do. And I woke up 3 o'clock in the morning. Well, he woke me up 3 o'clock in the morning, and there was this assignment before me, and it was glowing. And what I set out to do based on this assignment was reach the younger people in my own city, because I was going to funerals, Angela, for people under 30 at least twice a month. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. So my assignment is to reach them through what I have observed and what I subjected myself to earlier in life, and to turn it around, to make an impact. And he's enhanced my territory, enlarged my territory exponentially through me being just simply obedient, and he goes with us. So I've written 3 stage plays as well. One, we only did Flawless, and the other 2 during the pandemic couldn't have, crowds of people, so they were put on hold, and I never kind of got back into it, but they are written.
Yeah, well, we need to work on that. We're gonna
Absolutely.
work on that. Them plays need to get out. Now we have so many commonalities. It's really crazy.
Yeah,
Um, One thing I wanted to comment on is you said you heard God and you did it. A lot of what holds us back is waiting for this often somebody to approve you or somebody to tell you that it's time. But there is no better time than when God speaks. Now, that doesn't mean that at that moment you're supposed to move. You might have to go study a little bit to do what he said, or you might have to consult with somebody, but it's not the time to sit still. You have to get into action. Like when you hear God, move. Like stop waiting for somebody to come along and give you a prophetic word to tell you, oh, you need to be writing. You already knew that in the second grade because these
exactly.
gifts are in us. Like they ain't just pop up. There's stuff that's lying dormant in you right now that you're ignoring because of all the distractions. You got to stop doing that. I heard Trish say, I was tired of going to kids' funerals. God gave me a mandate to move, and we looking at 17 books, y'all. Even through the domestic violence, through the brain surgery, God said it and she did it. Like that's how we got to learn how to move. Literally, we have to learn how to move that way. I want to
I
mention one
agree.
of your books. I just got to mention this one thing because I was reading it. And After All, I love After All. After All, you guys. So let me tell you that in her books, a lot of what I'm seeing is a trend. She talks about Trenton, her hometown, a whole lot. This book, After All, full of history.
Yeah,
Oh my,
it's it's subliminally teaching Trentonians about Trenton.
like It's so much history in here, y'all. Like it's from a Native Americans family who I'm not gonna tell you. I need y'all to go get the book, all right? But it really is. I mean, it's stuff in here I had no idea, like how Trenton became the name. It was something else before that. Trenton was the capital of the United States. Is that right? It was
Yeah,
the capital. It wasn't just the capital of Trenton. It was the capital of the United States. She talks about different rivers in here, like, and it's based upon fiction about somebody's life story. But there's so many points of who Trenton is and how it became the city that I was blown away.
yeah, and General Lafayette, and why there's a 15 block park called Cadwalder,
It's crazy, y'all.
General Cadwalder. You know, these, and just recently, I'm learning. I went on a quest to find out who was slave owners and who weren't slave owners, and I'm
Yeah,
learning a lot. That, you know, everybody rides up and down Calhoun Street.
yeah.
Calhoun was, you know, he was on a quest too. So we have to think about what the laws were then, and what was it? Frederick Donnelly. Nobody knows who Frederick Donnelly was.
Donnelly Holmes, y'all.
Donnelly Holmes.
Who was Frederick Donnelly? Come on, Trish. Who was he?
He was a mayor of Trenton, and he was totally 100% um, advocating against Black upward mobile movement. So a lot of people don't know that Frederick Donnelly was not a mayor for the people. He was a mayor for the white people. And us shouting Dolly Holmes, Divine Land. You need to do your research and find out who that Mr. Donnelly was, because he was a mayor of Trenton. But we had a lot of mayors of Trenton who didn't have our best interests. But I mentioned it in the book so that people could understand who this man was. It's
Hmm.
very important not just to walk the streets of Trenton, but, like, for example, that whole area of San Ekin and the street off of there, Lenape. These are all tribes that were robbed of their land, and they kept the name of the streets not to honor them or reflect upon them, but they were just too lazy to give these streets other names. So
Mm,
they all those that land down there where you see deer running in the airport, all that was a tribal area.
it's crazy,
Native
y'all.
Americans. Yep.
You have no clue. That book right there taught me so much about that city. It was amazing. So I'm like, now listen, when I first met Trisha, let me tell y'all what she did to me, okay? Because we're both vending at the
Mhm.
same spot. I forget where it was, one of them. So I
One of
walked past her booth. She says, "Oh, come here." Like she ain't got no problem marketing herself. "Oh, come here." She said, "You're looking."
them.
She said, "You need this book, and you need this book, and you need this book."
I have to tell people they need them. You need to know you need them.
She goes,
That's my whole selling point. Is you? I'm not trying to push me. I'm trying to push all these books end with the Lord. So if you establish people in trouble, the common denominator of these books are that they're broken in some
yeah,
way. They're
yeah.
broken in some way, just like we all are, and we've all endured trauma in some way.
Hmm.
So, what is the common denominator between my books? And people ask me all the time, is it a series? No, they're just each broken, and the subjects that I cover, these characters are broken, and they find their higher power, and they start realizing a relationship between them and their creator. And that's how it's got to start, because he gave each of us gifts, just like you said. He gives each of us gifts, and the quicker you find out what that gift is and develop it and explore to see what else you would want to um, give to the world, or give to him, I should say, the better the relationship is.
Hmm.
My best friend.
Yeah. I like the fact that you market yourself well.
Thank you.
And you probably
I
don't even realize that you do it, but you market, you're not afraid of to approach people about your gift. Like that's not a problem. Hey baby. Hello. Hi.
twin number one. Look. I
Twin
love
number
the
two?
twin number one, twin number two, probably right behind him. Where's your
Right.
Well, I'm doing an
Oh,
interview now. Come here, say
hi. Hello.
hello.
Yeah, I love the fact that you market, like you're not afraid to market your gifts because they are God given, And so, as someone, because believe it or not, I am more of an introvert than I am an extrovert, but I've
Can't.
learned how to do this, right? Because I have to.
Hmm.
I,
Well,
but
you
I
know
would,
what though? Not the day I met you. The day I met you, you were flourishing with those books in front of you, and it was a proud display. But it wasn't. I took it as this is God's gift here in front of you and around you because you had this aura that said, "Come to me, come to me." There's a
Mhm.
reason I'm doing this. So I said, "She knows what I know. You know what I know."
You do it much better than me. I'm coming over to take lessons.
Oh,
Because
I have now. See, with me, I have never been shy. I play viola, and I've always had an audience. I sing very well,
yeah,
and so from the age of I would say, well, two, 2 or 3, I'm used to audiences. There's no threat of standing in front of people. I'm not shy.
yeah,
As a Yeah, that's one thing that kind of works in my favor is that I don't mind speaking. Now I'm a much better writer than a
me too.
speaker, but
Yeah,
because of the domestic violence, it gave me a platform to reach others so they don't have to go through it. So 5 of my books are dedicated toward domestic violence victims who survived. So that we got together in an anthology to tell our stories, and Hidden Treasures volumes 1 through 4. And all the proceeds of those books go to the shelters that helped me. Woman Against Abuse in Philly, Women's Space here in Trenton, and Sophia in the North. So, some people go to shelters for 3 weeks. I was in there for a very long time, like a
yeah,
long time, like a really long time.
yeah.
And I wanted to give back. So this is my opportunity to give back. I don't keep the proceeds of those Hidden Treasures volumes. Now the
Okay.
other one, that's all me.
Now I want to do this a little bit quickly. So I'm just reading her books, the titles of her books, guys. So I see Carousel, Side Effect, Hidden Treasures. That's the one where she's telling you all the proceeds go to different domestic violence houses or centers. I guess we can call them. There's one. How many? One, two, three. There's 4 volumes, I think I'm looking at, of Hidden Treasures. So any one of
Yeah.
them that you purchase, proceeds
Yeah.
gonna go to her.
I'm
After
the
all, I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm the vice president of a very progressive organization, Purple High Tops. Um, and we're globally based. So I cover the East Coast as far as prevention and awareness, because the key is to get the awareness that this is about to happen. So me as a survivor, I see it. I see people snatching other people's phones to see what they're writing, who they're calling. This is a red flag. So I try to identify the flags for people so they can see that this is regardless of your relationship and how long you've been together, it's coming. So
Yeah.
we try to identify the red flags so that when people read Hidden Treasures volumes, they can understand where they are in their relationship, if it's healthy, if it's toxic. And it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's a male or a female. It does not matter. If
Mm.
you if you are going through it, we try to identify it before any physical happens so that
Yeah.
you could take the information and go forward in a way to decide for yourself for your health.
Yeah, I've seen some men absolutely mental abuse, and I haven't seen the physical abuse of men, but I've definitely seen where some women are so controlling and so mean and so evil. Like I've seen them put men in a place where they are threatened, right? But because they can't hit nobody, because they're going
Right.
straight to jail, the woman gonna be all right. But men go through abuse too, and mental abuse is just as bad as
Yeah.
physical abuse because it
Yeah.
puts you in a place where you have no voice. You're full of fear. Let me tell you. Ask
Yeah.
me how I know. Listen.
Yeah.
Hi, Tiffany. Hi, Miss Wanda. Grandson, you need to call. You haven't called me in 2 weeks. You need to call. I see you on here. He away at college. You think you grown? Listen, I know where
You
you
go
live.
straight.
You're gonna have to come back here. All right. So Miss Wanda says, two awesome women of God, thank you for sharing your journey.
I know who that is. That's my mentor.
She's awesome. She's done so much work. All right.
Welcome, welcome.
So let me finish this list. So that was Hidden Volumes. Then we have After All, which is the book I told you all about. It's a whole history of Trenton done through fiction writing. Okay. After this, Black is Enough, Flawless, For Now, Heart Condition. Like the list goes on and on. If Only, Twin Towers. You Can't Sit With Us. You're Not the Boss of
Yeah.
Me. Like it is a list, y'all, of books that this woman of God has sat down, taken her time, and written for us to read. So I'm going to put her website here, and I want you to go to that site and check out her books. Now, if you don't, let me tell you what she's going to do. If she see you, boom, this
Need
is for
this.
you. You need this. You,
You need this.
you need this. And once you get them in your hands, I'm telling you, it's going to be a blessing. All right, let's go. So why is Trenton mentioned in your book so much?
I'm from here, born and raised. No, I shouldn't say that. I was when I was 2 years old, we moved from Ewing Township, Teresa Street, over to Hiltonia on Stuyvesant.
Stop.
And I've seen a lot. So the subjects that I address are, look, I have a list. See, even naming the titles of the books as Angela did gives you a little inclination of what it's about. Like You're Not the Boss of Me, and that one's about bullying and suicide. And You Can't Sit With Us. We all know the Mean Girls. I wrote that book so long ago because I wanted to be in the clique. I wanted to be in the popular group. I wanted them to accept me. And I put my daughter on the cover of that one because she never cared about what anybody thought. She was like the first person I knew with the purple hair before
Mm,
it was popular. She, oh, you don't have no Jordans. You can't sit with us. She was never concerned about your rejection or approval. Or, seeking approval from your friends is something that will get you in hot water.
yes.
Yeah, to this day, my sons have friends who, finished 4-year college and got a degree, and they also have friends doing life in jail for murder.
Mm, yes.
So one thing I did realize in becoming a parent is that you can try, but you cannot choose their friends or the influence their friends have over how their peers have influence over you.
Hmm.
So you can't choose that for them. You can tell them to stay away, but that would make it more attractive and glorified. So they would want to chase something you don't want them to chase. So I never chose my kids' friends. One thing about the subject of bullying and suicide, this book, You're Not the Boss of Me, is not about kids. It's not even for kids. This is a character who never actually had a bullying experience that she got through. Most of us, we conquered our bully in the 5th grade. We put Vaseline on our faces, pulled the hair back into a ponytail, and actually finally got with the person. And we feel triumphant. We feel triumphant. We feel like we conquered our bully. So one thing about bullying is that if you ever had one bully and dealt with it, you can deal with all your life.
Mm,
But this particular character never had that experience. So she didn't know how to deal with her bullying boss, who was all her skills and all her ideas telling her boss that they were hurt. And she didn't know how to deal with it because she wanted to maintain the job. She wanted to keep the job. But she was being so passive and just accepting it. So she needed to learn how to, as an adult, conquer a bully.
hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
It's
not the boss of me.
tough. Yeah,
You're not
it's
the
tough.
boss of me. That's so funny
You're
because
not the boss of me.
yeah, either we've been the bully or we've been bullied. Like it's just it kind of goes with school, unfortunately,
Yeah.
especially in junior high school. That's where you really start developing and knowing who you at least trying to figure out which team you fit on, right? And so you're right. It's just that's an important book, definitely. And I don't know if it's just for kids.
Yeah, I use that one. You can't sit with us in life skills class. That's one of the services. Iree Sky. I'm sorry, my company is called Iree Sky.
Yeah.
Iree Sky. One of the services that we offer is life skills incorporation with the books. So that's one of the books we use for young adults, eighth, ninth grade, so they can understand. You don't have. Oh, there's the other one.
Win number two.
We're never do. Well, hello, Chikalele. Good morning.
Hello.
Why don't you cup out of the room that you had last night and pour some milk into
Yeah,
it?
something very similar that you said too. I grew up in Ewing on Pennsylvania Avenue, the other side,
I
and
know
we
exactly
moved.
where behind the bowling, behind the firehouse.
Yeah, well, I grew up. You know where the sign? Well, I think now it's college houses there, and was an alleyway we could walk through to go to the doctor's office on Pennsylvania Avenue,
I know exactly
On
where you are.
Pennington Road. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I grew up there, and we moved to Trenton when I was 13. Oh my goodness, here we go.
There's
Here
no
we
way
go.
we don't have this many. How do we not know one another?
I don't know. Well, I'm older than you. That's probably why. I did that before you. Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah. We ain't gonna do that here. Yeah. All
just
right.
just know I was born under the Lyndon B. Johnson administration. So don't go thinking I'm no baby.
Maybe we yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So
don't let
do this
don't
for
let
me.
the dimples fool you.
Right.
And the other books are addressed to, yeah, I wrote it down. Stalking, domestic violence, human trafficking, like rejection and seeking approval, leadership, stewardship, race. The one about race, if you don't mind, I know we don't have a lot of time, but the one about race is they say I misled them because it's about a young lady with vitiligo. So she's got that beautiful black canvas, white spots everywhere. And they're actually paying top dollar on the runway to look for you to look exotic now. But
Right.
you, yeah, now, but you could, they treat you like you're a leper. 10 years ago, you couldn't even walk up and say, you got change for $1. You're afraid. Why? You cannot choose your skin. You can make a lot of choices, but you can't choose your skin.
Man.
This young lady has to wake up in that skin every day. Plus, she's watching the increase of racial relations in America today that needed to be identified. I would not, through the pandemic, be Trish if I did not mention some of the unfair things that were happening to especially Black men, and in regards to law enforcement and how we're profiled. Because yeah, to them, this skin is a weapon, and we can't change it. Like
Right.
it's an actual weapon,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not how it should be. Like no two of us. I think that our skin is beautiful. I think that even those who have facial birthmarks, there's a reason that you have that. I call it your uniqueness. Some people have a widow's peak. Some people have freckles. We can't change it. We go to sleep and wake up in this skin. So why should it then be demonized? So I had to write about that, especially that was one during the pandemic.
What book is that?
Black is enough.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we have Bougie Baji, Miss Bougie, Miss 5000, Zilly Conrad. She's a little bougie. And when you are on a high horse, God will humble you. And Zilly Conrad gets humbled. One of the worst ways a woman can be humbled, but it changed her life to know that she should not be looked down on people. And there are people that all of us know who think they're better somehow than, or what I think their journey is even, Miss Sophisticated 5000. But you have to go through something. You literally have to go through something to be humbled. And I know I was. Boy, was I. And the one you mentioned after all, she's looking for her birth mother.
Yeah.
And the red one after this, hold that one up. After this, that's my first book, It's about a young lady who's promiscuous. She's over sexualized from the things she's been exposed to and sees. And she's from a perfectly wonderful family. She's got both parents, raised by both parents in the home. She's got excellent resources and friends and access to research, but she still found the hood. And that's where she, yes, things you subject yourself to can also be a learning lesson.
Yeah.
Then we got
Now,
gang
I
recruit.
want to say something about that
Okay.
because a lot of times we blame the things we go through on the devil,
Yes, we
right?
do.
Or it's something external.
Something
But our
external.
choices
Yeah.
get us in trouble a whole lot.
And when you have a relationship with the Lord, you can actually hear and see the red flags, the blinking, don't go down there, don't go down there, don't go down there, and we still ignore it. But the stronger your relationship is, the stronger the warning is. So you can hear your father saying, don't do that.
That's right.
But she's kind of doing this thing where she's jumping from relationship to relationship, and they're not even true relationships. So jumping from man to man, and that's not healthy. That's not what God wants for us. You got to date you. Date you. In dating you, you create a standard by which you will say, this is what I won't accept. This is what I will accept, or this is what, because you can't change anyone. The only person that you can change is you. So date you, young girls. That person in that book, the character that created, she just went from thug after thug after thug after thug after thug until she realized she never actually dated herself to see what kind of man she wanted, or if she even wanted a man.
Can I ask the women on here a question? How many of you all dated yourself before you ever went on a date with anybody else? I can't raise, like, I wish I had done that. I wish I had discovered me first. Oh my God. I need that hat. God, I wish I had done that first. The mistakes that I made in dating, and like you said, they wasn't even relationships.
I held it on. Yeah.
Relationships.
No, and and when I finally found out, you know what, Trisha isn't such a bad person after all. Why didn't I date these? I'm not such a bad person after all. I actually enjoyed the time with myself.
Yes.
Duh.
We are mad. But because of your books, some young girl can pick this up, right? Can pick this up and maybe, just maybe understand, you know what? I gotta accept that abusive relationship. I don't need nobody going through my cell phone telling me who I can talk to. Like somebody might really. Yeah, I did when I got a divorce. I had to find me again. Yeah, I get it, Charnel.
Normalize that. Normalize dating you, because once you normalize dating you, your daughter will date herself, your son will date himself. You don't have to jump relationships. I know a young lady who, okay, so she's wearing a Chicago, jersey, and then 2 months later she's wearing, an Eagles jersey, and then San Francisco. Why? I'm like, why? You just like these teams? No, the boys I dated like these teams.
Girl.
And there's pictures. There's like pictures of you in these jerseys. Who do you like?
Hello.
I don't like football. Then why are you wearing jerseys? Why are you wearing jerseys? We stop. Let's just big red flag. Yes. Date you. If you date you, you'll know what you like.
You know what? That's like sometimes we're gonna move, y'all. We got 10 minutes. I got to get to the church. Okay. But that sounds like, a lot of times, like when our husbands, like I've had this conversation, like your husband might like a certain football team, right? Or maybe that's where they spend a lot of their time is at football. They're in front of the football, in front of the TV, watching football, right? And so what we've been told is, okay, learn the sport.
Yeah.
So that you can I love football. How about learn me so you can spend some time with me?
Right. Learn me. If don't learn it for him, learn it for you. I love football all my life. I was a cheerleader, and then I know we got 10 minutes. I married a Redskin fan and I'm a Dallas fan, so
Dallas,
that
yes.
season
Up.
we bump heads.
I'm a Dallas fan too. Okay, we gotta move. We gotta move.
Woo!
All right. Talk to me about editing. So you are
Oh,
also an editor. How many books have you edited?
219 as of Monday. Whew. So yeah, I'm the hood editor. They dub me the hood editor because a lot of people have something valid to say or have a testimony, and I only edit testimonies, Angela. It has to be something somebody's going to read and somebody's going to learn from, and and there's healing in it. There's healing in it. So I really love editing for other people. Plus, I get the privilege of reading their books first, and then I will, edit for them and realize, wow, how much that person has been through. It's such a wonderful experience to have edited for over 200 people across the United States and internationally, because I did one in London too, and one in Wales and Trinidad and Tobago, who had something valid to say. And if it's not a testimony, you got to find another editor. But I love editing for other people, and there's such healing in it. And then I do their first promotions and first book signings until I see that they could fly alone, and it's very rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does somebody get in touch with you if they have a book that they want edited?
Okay, so um my website is ireesky.com,
Mhm.
and you can reach out to me via email, Trisha Trisha at iresky.com. I've been doing it 7 years. It's very fulfilling. Uh, or just call me 609-963-7077, and we'll get you started. We'll talk about my requirements and what your goals are as far as getting your book done. But if you, for example, if somebody who worked on a pole once and they're dancing and they're spinning on the pole um, calls me and says, I'd like to do my book about my experience on the pole. Okay, well, what do you do now? Oh, I'm still on the pole. You haven't learned anything yet, dear. So I can't do your book. So what I'd like to do is have you, when you overcome
Mhm.
something. I don't care what the subject matter is. It could be, I can't do your space alien book, but realistically down here on the planet, if you've overcome something, I could help you make it into a book. And people usually say, how do I even start? Well, call me and we'll discuss it. I'm very affordable. I work very quickly, and it's something that I'm good at.
Yeah, I like the fact that you're focused on what you do because you a lot of people they do everything, but the
Yeah,
fact that you have a target market that you serve is very important, right? Because you're not confused about what you want to do. That's exactly what God gave you, and that's
yeah.
what you're doing. So I really like the fact that you have this target audience. That's very important that we have focus in our lives. That's one thing I've definitely lacked is focus. That's why I have all of this stuff, right? But no, what did God call you to do specifically? If you do that one thing and do it
Yeah,
well,
yes,
that's when God brings you before the great men. When you
right.
get really targeted, right? What's the most I'm starting to write. What advice do you have for new authors? I've written and co-authored over 300 white papers and research studies. What's the
Mhm.
most important factor in writing a book?
The most important factor in writing a book first is this something that I want to do? Or am I doing this because everybody else is doing it? That's the first thing to weigh. If you always had intent in your heart to write something, because people want to do tell alls. Oh, I'm going to do my tell all. Do you really want to tell all? You need to consider these things before you even sit at the computer, because tell alls bring back your history where God, if you have a relationship with Him, is telling you. Because see, I get the privilege of hiding behind the word fiction
Mm-hmm.
because I'm too
Right.
much of a coward Yeah, that first book that you have there after this, the red one, is a little bit of my story, but I have this huge imagination to be able to incorporate my imagination with truth. So in using landmarks in Trenton for people to identify with makes the book more relatable if they're from here. So they
Mhm.
can say, oh my gosh, she just mentioned Dolly Holmes. Oh my gosh, she just mentioned the War Memorial Building. Oh my gosh, she just mentioned the reservoir. So I think it makes it more relatable, especially when I'm doing the life skills classes because they're local and I get to, they get to explore the history of their streets and why they're there. And it's important. It's very important if you're writing a book to decide that first. Is this something that I want to do, or am I doing it because my best has a book? It's my turn. Sorry, hot flash.
That's okay. That's what we're gonna get through the hot flash too. All right. All right. So we covered a whole lot and we still can cover a whole lot because there's so much, right? God has really blessed you to be able to do what you do. And it is absolutely a gift. And I want you to know I appreciate your gift. I absolutely appreciate your boldness in telling your stories and how you market yourself. Like it to me, that is you can write what you want, but marketing it, that is the challenge, right? Because there's
Yeah.
a million authors and there's 10 million books. But how
Yeah.
you sell yours, that's like huge.
Well, thank you. I had to be the guinea pig for getting things out there, and people have walked by my table while I'm vending, and the sheer quantity of the books on the table impresses them, so they can't pass me. And then I got them. Then we can talk about the actual subject matter of the books because there's so many, and I have about 8 more books in my head, Angela. I really, really am trying to get them out, but I'm so busy editing. It's hard to weigh.
I get it.
When am I gonna finish this one book? I'm working on one book now called Womanic. She's a woman and she's manic. And I can't seem to get to it for the editing. The editing is where I left the state of New Jersey to do this assignment in obedience to the Lord, and it pays very well. So me and my husband were able to buy a home because of my books. We're able to buy cars because of my books. I'm just 100% thankful to the Lord for the gift. So I
Yeah.
have to keep serving him in stewardship, realizing that this ain't my money. This is not my money. We are stewards. We are stewards over what he gives. And that in and of itself is a seed that needs to be planted for not just my legacy, but all the students of Trenton. And we're students until we die. You could be 100-year-old student. So use me in that way. I'm a vessel to be used. None of this is my money. None of this is my, mine to keep. And I'm thankful for the humble home he gave us. I'm thankful we're able to go outside and drive a car. But this ain't our stuff.
Jesus.
This is not our stuff. And the quicker you realize your treasure is up there with him,
Yes, it is.
my treasure is not here. He makes it easier for us to live here. This is nothing to brag about. And people, oh, Chanel this. And I'm not trying to send their kids to college and Victoria's Secret. And I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm going to be real. I'm doing this. And I know we got less than 2 minutes because it was an assignment and I'm being obedient. So 10% has to go to him. First 10%. People think, oh, I'll pay all these bills and get something to eat and then I'll tithe. Nah, first 10% is supposed to go to the Lord for
Off
the gift
top.
that he gave. So you honor him with your first fruits.
Amen. That's
Why?
where our blessing comes from.
That's
Amen.
our blessing. And I keep saying to Trey, that's why this is working. That's why this is working. Nothing I did physically, nothing he did physically, nothing I'm doing. I had to be the guinea pig for a lot of things that failed so I can understand not to do that again.
Yeah.
Our God is our Father and he will chastise us. Stay
Yeah.
on the path. Your steps are ordered. They're already ordered. So it actually becomes easy
Hmm.
when you start recognizing how I keep saying, how is this working? How am I doing this? It's working because I'm being obedient.
Yeah, I wish we could, that's another subject that domestic violence, I want to bring you back so we can talk about overcoming domestic violence but then stewardship as well. Because God, the God first concept, that's what I'll call it. God
Mhm.
has to come first in everything. When He does, then you'll see your life start manifesting the
Yeah.
abundance that He has for us. But He has to be first. Like, you cannot be first in this thing. It has to
Nope.
be God first. Now, in the last 2 minutes, listen, y'all. It's a lot. I'm so glad you joined us. This is
Okay.
author editor Trisha Williams. I have her website up. She has 17 books to date published, a million in her head, over 200 over 200 books edited. Please, if you don't know her, get to know who she is. She is somebody you want to know. But in the last minute, I'll say two, please, you're going to do a reading for us, just a quick reading from Side Effects. I think Side Effects is your husband's favorite book. Is that correct? I think
Yeah.
that's the one.
Like,
That's his
like,
favorite book.
like side effect. Side effect
Yeah.
is adultery, and a 20-year marriage is tested. And I'm just going to do a short reading from side effect because a lot of people don't realize you have to be equally yoked when you get married. You can't get married because it's popular. Oh, I want my opportunity to be queen for a day. I want my opportunity to be bridezilla. No, equally yoked. And God will tell you when. So I'm going to read page 108. You can follow with me. Um, about, like I said, 20-year marriage is tested. When a man is tempted to go outside of his marriage, it's usually something visual, something he sees. But when we go outside our marriage, it's usually an opportunity to level up. So we do it for power. Okay, so um, she had an opportunity to go receive a grant in Washington, D.C. with a room full of congressmen. And she's talking to her friend. So I'm just going to read that. Um, I gotta tell you this though. I was in DC feeling extravagant, just lovely. I was stomping with the big dogs, girl. I had these fancy representatives and senators eating out of my hand. They bought all my drinks and they kept trying to get my phone number. I had so much power with them, Tawny. It felt good, Belinda said boastfully. What girl? A man is a man, no matter what the status. We get the same reaction walking through the hood. We look good, baby. Tawny believed most men were out to please were not out to please a woman and be faithful. She believed that a man seeks to please himself and women are used for that purpose. Tony, her husband, Belinda's husband, was a rarity. So Tawny decided to think of think as men do for her from her own limited view, to use them for pleasure at her leisure with no expectations from them. Belinda continued, yes, I was on fire. As a matter of fact, this one senator walked up to me to my room, girl, walked me to my room. I thought he'd never leave. Tawny, I could have gone on a shopping spree, toured the town in a limo, flew anywhere I wanted to go because he was feeling me, Belinda bragged. Um, and I was looking, oh, so tasty, Belinda hollered. I had a few too many drinks, and the man was down for anything. If I asked him to rent a helicopter, we'd be headed to the airport. I had him, girl. Belinda's head was so full of the power she held that evening. She began to sing, my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. Belinda wanted to reveal juicier details with her friend of 30 years, feeling the need to share how exciting and tempting that power could be. Do I have enough time?
That power can be tasty.
Power. Yeah.
Okay.
The,
Uh,
the flesh is something, girl.
it is. It really
Married,
is.
been married 20 years. God bless you, sweetie. She said, Tawny said, a senator? Wait, what are you talking about? Sis, you know they are all married, and so are you. Are you trying to tell me something? Something? Tawny was asking because she knows Belinda can't drink. She had too many experiences watching Belinda make a fool of herself after drinking. She would only drink wine with Belinda at home because Belinda would become too uninhibited. She was a lightweight. Tawny called it babysitting. This man would have done anything I asked. That's power. The other one was all in my face, opening doors and pulling out chairs. Do you know what kind of influence that could do for my business? These are the type of people I need. I've been struggling all this time to maintain my studio with these little coins, and I felt like things were possible in that room. The man is in urban development. So I made sure I made an impression because it'd be big for me, that kind of power in my corner. Belinda, you took a vow to God. You are married to a good man. That lifestyle you're talking about is a fantasy. It's like you never had, not like you never had nothing. You were raised in a well-off home. I've been all my life, and want to do I want you to do well, but Tony is a good provider. You're about to have his child. Belinda, you've never had one hungry day, and the gift God gave you can take you places in time. Most would kill to have what you have, and you're talking about power? God is power. You just have to be disciplined enough to trust his timing. Tony yelled loud enough for the photographer to hear because she was getting serious about her subject. He moves around in divine connection. His anointing and grace is upon you, and you start seeing things happen in your favor when you're on his path. There are no coincidences. He places you in the right places, and over time, you begin to see the promise unfolding, and people learn your name, and the promise seed grows to where you actually begin to believe it. So you water the seed. You can't see it. You can see it. You can almost taste it. When it becomes an inevitability, the seed sprouts lush green leaves, and they seek you because of your leaves. Flowers begin to bud and they're beautiful, and you realize people have come to see your flowers. But this is the final stage, Belinda. Don't think those pretty flowers are your doing. They are for God's glory. Though they are for your good, grace is for the humble. You were a willing vessel to be used. You stepped out on faith, but the Holy Spirit guided you to where you needed to be. The people of God used, yes, just a second, baby. The people of God you used to get you there and are the same humble people who will celebrate you. But don't force yourself into the faces of those people. God did not send them just because you want to be recognized by some elite group or crowd for earthly popularity. Remain in humility. This is her best friend talking to her.
Yeah.
God's plan is better. God's timing is better. To be taken seriously, allow his planning and timing to bring your promised seed to fruition. Tawny spoke from a place of love for her friend and in reverence to God. She said, "Are you listening to me?"
Mm-hmm.
So she's not trying to please the world.
Right.
When people start recognizing your gift, like you're an artist and your sculpture, and people start noticing those pretty flowers and coming to see your flowers, don't go thinking that's you doing that.
It ain't you at all.
That ain't you.
Yeah.
That ain't you. So it's not the popularity. These things happen in God's time and for God's purpose.
Yes. I love
So
I'm gonna have to this book I have not read. I need to read it. But one thing I want to say is your books they're easy reads. So I could read this in a weekend.
come on.
I could sit still for a weekend and read this. Like I love that about them too, the fact that they're books that can be read easily. But
Oh,
listen, I thank you so much for
no,
taking the
thank
time
you
out. Thank you so much.
so much, sis. And God bless you. I hope you enjoy the reading.
God bless you too. All right, you all listen. Trisha Williams of Ire Sky Fiction. I want you to check her out. You've only heard a little bit. Trust me, there's a lot more that you need to delve into for this author and editor and the gifts that God has blessed her with to share with us. I love you all. Listen, Miss Ellie's girl is signing out. We have our Easter egg hunt today on 100 Humboldt Street in Trenton, New Jersey at 1 o'clock. We got eggs and candy for adults too. All right, we do. And I don't care about y'all telling us we ain't got no business to no Easter egg hunt. I ate all them eggs and I'm saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost. I know this ain't about no Jesus, this Easter egg hunt. This is Easter egg hunting so the kids can have fun. We done taught them about Jesus. All right. They know the Father, Son, Holy Ghost. They know that he died and he rose on the third day. I'm about to go eat me some candy, y'all. I love you. Peace out. Look out for more author interviews on Miss Ellie Girls pages. All right. Have a blessed day. And remember, tomorrow, celebrate Resurrection Day. I love Jesus and he loves me. God bless you all. Bye.